You're over at the Southwest Wall with your charts. Your first one just puts in very starkly how big these tariffs really are in the context of history.
Yeah, Willie, Trump did some tariffs during Trump 1.0, as you know, and I wanted to show how those compare to what he's doing now, as well as to history. So if you come over here, you can see that for a long period of time, we had not a lot of movement on tariffs. And then Trump came in, and tariffs are a beautiful thing. We got the whole speech back then. But he actually did limit a lot what he did to a few products, a few countries. And, of course, remember that he negotiated the USMCA, the new so-called free trade agreement between Canada and Mexico, which he's now, in effect, ripped up. But in any event, and then Biden actually brought them down a bit. And these new tariffs on China, on Mexico, and on Canada have brought our average tariff rate to over 10%. And just to put that in perspective, this is the highest tariff rate we have had since World War II. The whole history of post-World War II was bringing tariffs down, bringing countries together, making them economically more integrated as a means also of having more peace and less likelihood that one of them would attack another. And now Trump has gone the other way. He's doing this against the backdrop that is not ideal. Inflation, we can debate whose fault inflation is. He certainly took a shot at Biden last night. But inflation has come down, but it's kind of stuck around 3%. And the Fed's target is 4%. And this has implications for interest rates. It will be very hard for the Fed to cut interest rates further with inflation stuck around 3% and even going up a little bit. Meanwhile, and more significantly, inflation expectations play a big role in what actually happens. What people project is going to happen and they behave on the basis of what they think is going to happen can actually become a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Right now, consumers are expecting 4.3% inflation, and with a couple of exceptions, that's the highest it's been since in the post-COVID period. And tariffs have played a big role in this. It has penetrated the public consciousness that tariffs are inflationary, and they are now looking at more inflation, which simply makes the Fed's job harder.
And that's probably, Steve, because they are inflationary. So as we move to your second chart, as you and others have said ad nauseum, almost every economist will tell you if you put these kind of tariffs in place, things are just going to be more expensive. So what are you looking at there?
Yeah, and I'll say just one more time at the risk of being too ad nauseum that tariffs are like a national sales tax. They increase the price of what Americans pay for goods that come from overseas. And so here's a study from the Budget Lab that looks at some of the categories where the price increases are likely to be the biggest. Not surprisingly, there are categories where we import large, if not the bulk, of what Americans buy. Computers and electronics, we know, are not really made here very much. And so those imports are going to potentially drive the prices of those up 10.6%. Leather products. You could almost look at this list as a proxy for what we don't make anywhere and therefore we have to import it. Leather products, electrical equipment, wearing apparel especially. Motor vehicles are very complicated in terms of what's made here, what's made in China, what's made in Japan, and what's imported from elsewhere. And textiles we don't make much of here, and so on and so forth. And so what is the effect on the average American consumer? As I've said repeatedly, and you've said it, it is a form of national sales tax. According to the Budget Lab, again, nonpartisan group, they think that the average cost to an American will be about $1,800 a year from these tariffs. And, of course, if he imposes more tariffs, the costs will go up. And not surprisingly, again, these tariffs hit poor people the most. People down at the bottom. In the lowest 10%, we don't even have data, but the second 10% of people who are well down the food chain, they're going to lose 2.4% of their income. But as you get up toward the top, where people are buying all kinds of different things and they're not as dependent on imports from these countries, down 0.9%. And I would just add, maybe I should have had a bar on it here, that for you, all you guacamole lovers out there,
yes,
virtually every avocado is imported from Mexico, and the prices of avocados are likely to go up 25%. So I would suggest buying your avocados very, very quickly.
Steve, bringing it home. Also, let's not forget beer and tequila. I mean, we can add that as long as we're talking about guacamole. All right, let's move to your third chart, Steve. The economy softening a bit. You touched on consumer expectations, consumer confidence, and stubborn inflation. What are you seeing?
Yeah, consumers are not stupid, and so they do read the news, process it however they process it, and have become more pessimistic. Now, not surprisingly, in the partisan world we live in, after the election, consumer confidence among Republicans shot up. It is now plateaued. Consumer confidence by Democrats shot down. But if you want to take the neutral party in the middle, which is independents and an average of all this, on balance, Americans have become much more nervous about the economy. Consumer sentiment has dropped below the 70 line, which is a kind of good line, good versus bad line. And so we're now kind of in the bad territory of consumer sentiment. And you can say, okay, well, that's just what consumers think, and consumers are always pessimistic. And we know the numbers are now more people still believe we're on the wrong track and so on and so forth. But, money talks. And so let's see what consumers are doing with their money. And what they're doing with their money is they're not spending it right now. That in January, they cut their monthly change in spending by the most amount they've cut it by in a long time. We've only had one other quarter in which it went down like that. And so it is a worrisome time. The stock market has jitters. There are other worrying signs in the economy. Trump is taking office at a rather precarious time in the economy. And so when you combine that with a lot of his policies that are, frankly, economically incoherent, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
All right, Morning Joe economic analyst Steve Rattner bringing the charts and the truth, as always. Steve, thanks so much. We appreciate it.